let the uprising begin.
There are only two genders, and one of them is right here. It's the box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Hello, hello, hello. Once again, all my fellow patriots and you filthy leftist stalkers out there. You're listening to the Angela Box Show. Y'all, in Houston, you want to hear a first world problem? This is a first world weather problem, all right? It is summer. It should be sunny. In Houston, I'm not exaggerating, it has rained every single day for a month. Every single day. Not just a little bit, but like torrential downfall, okay? Now, we're going to talk about the Kerrville flood, obviously. But honestly, guys, like, I love rain and all that, but I also, I don't want to live in Seattle, okay? I didn't sign up for this. So, man upstairs, if you could just, let it go. Like, have it stop raining, that'd be great. Just for like a few weeks, just a little bit. In fact, I looked up, I was Googling, I go, I'm not the only one that thinks this. And I Googled, why is it raining so much in Houston? And it totally auto-populated that within about 3 seconds of me writing. And evidently there's some front from Mexico that's like, hunkered down over Houston and won't leave. I'm like, okay, you can leave now. Kind of like the illegal aliens from Mexico. Y'all can leave now. Just like the storm front that's sitting over Houston. Leave. Before we jump into the show, I do want to talk about the Kerrville flood. It is unimaginable what these people went through. And my husband's best man, his daughter was at Camp Mystic. And when we got the notice it was last Saturday, July 4th, he and I were in his hometown and, running around. And then we get the notice that someone is trying to reach my husband on Instagram. And I was like, what's going on? And she said his daughter was missing. And we just were like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Well, thank God she's okay. But let me tell you how traumatizing this was. So when the floods came, it was the middle of the night. So the girls were all the people, all asleep. And the dam had broken. So the flooding the girls that were on the downstairs of Camp Mystic, like they were all swept away. The flooding came so quickly and the water was rising so quickly that the girls that were on the second floor, they were all clamoring to get to the roof. And this man's daughter evidently jumped on a tree and was able to be rescued. But evidently one of her little friends, she was hanging onto her hand and she lost grip of her hand. Y'all, I can't even imagine the terror that those people felt. And so, obviously our hearts are with the people in Kerrville and the people at Camp Mystic, and Jesus opened his arms and welcomed all of them in very quickly. And I really do want to hope that in a traumatic death such as this, that I hope that the soul goes quickly and that they don't realize, what's happening, or at least not for very long. So prayers to everyone going through an unimaginable, out of the blue, horrific tragedy. And speaking of that, there is, and my mind is, as usual, pinball-y, but I do want to focus a little bit on this because there is a detestable doctor. Her name is Christina Probst, okay? Now, Christina Probst was formerly of a pediatric firm here in Houston called Bluefish Pediatrics. And she just lost her job. Now, and I say this with all due respect, I am not for cancel culture. I talked about this. Those of you who may not understand, like, how do you know what you're going to talk about? I tape my interviews before I tape the beginning of the show. So I'm talking with my friend, Jen Bridges, who's one of the frontline nurses, who is one of the people suing Houston Methodist for forcing them to get vaccinated, okay? So I was talking to her about this lady. So this is what she said, all right? And the reason I'm bringing this up, and the reason I brought it up with Jen, is because she's a COVID Nazi. Like, she was a psychopath terrorist during COVID. She tried to get people that I know personally fired. She would post things. She would dox people. I know one person personally who worked at Shell, and Shell was getting calls to the HR department about this person because she had the temerity to not want to have to mask 4-year-olds and to shove a bioweapon into her body. Like, this woman's a piece of crap, okay? A garbage human if there ever was one. But she was so sure of herself. And so this is a cautionary tale to all you leftists. This is how all leftists are. They are arrogant, as I say, dumb and arrogant. And they are so sure that nothing will ever happen to them because for these many years, the culture has been like, we're just going to put our heads down and not deal with these people. These loud, arrogant a-holes, for lack of a better word, that have run roughshod over our culture. Well, guess what? You effed around and you found out. Here's what this woman wrote. Okay. Now, again, I'm not for cancel culture, but there are consequences to nasty things that you post publicly. Here's what she said. Quote, may all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry. Kerr County MAGA voted to gut FEMA. They deny climate change. May they get what they voted for. Bless their hearts. She's a garbage human. And Bluefish Pediatrics was like, I know we all supported you during COVID when you were terrorizing people who didn't want to mask 4-year-olds, but this is a bridge too far. So this lady got fired. Evidently, so did her husband, who is a big-time attorney in some big law firm here. And y'all, when I first moved to Houston, I really wanted to live in Westview. And anyone that knows Houston knows Westview is really nice. I was like, oh, I love the trees. And well, as I got to know Houston, I'm like, I don't want to live in Westview. These people are nuts. They are the most privileged, woke little psychopaths in Westview, okay? And they get what they vote for, okay? Because during the school board crap, when I would go yell at the school board and my friends would go and yell at the school board, the people from Westview were the worst, the absolute worst. Liberal white women as far as the eye can see, all right? All showing up wearing like tranny shirts and masks. Like, they are the worst. They are the epitome of dumb and arrogant is a dangerous combination. So I'm not sad that this lady lost her job. Start your own practice and only work with, psychopaths. Like, knock yourself out, lady. But yeah, when you mock people that just died in a horrific flood, I don't care. That is not a time for politics, okay? And but the left, never lets a crisis go to waste. And they wanted you to believe for a full 24 hours that, the reason this happened, a bunch of leftists were out there talking about this, the reason this happened is because Trump, cut the National Weather Service, which the cuts that he was putting in were going to take effect like in October of 2026 or something like that. But even the cuts that he was doing would not affect staffing, okay? In fact, they were overstaffed, and they had plenty of people on the ground. So that was, like, debunked in about 2 minutes, but they still ran with it. They still ran with it because they are so sure that Trump is doing evil things. And it's funny, too, because if you look at the reactions that the fake news media and the detestable leftists in the media had regarding this flood versus what they were saying when Joe Biden was denying FEMA coverage to people if they had Trump signs in their yard. Like, that was a directive that came down from FEMA. Make sure to bypass those people that have Trump signs in their yard. Like, that is the thing that happened. We talked about it on the show. They lied their faces off and was like, oh, this is all Trump's fault. It's like, shut up. God, you people are stupid. It's, again, so easily debunked, these people. All right, coming up, my friend Jen Bridges has an update to her lawsuit, which you guys need to be following. You're listening to the Angela Box Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Angela Box Show. I've got my friend Jennifer Bridges, who is, y'all, amazing. She is such a warrior. She was a frontline nurse at Houston Methodist during the Rona. And when Houston Methodist was feeling themselves and wanted to force everyone to get vaccinated, she's like, nah, I'm not going to do it. She stood up for her and her fellow healthcare workers, frontline workers, and refused to do it. And she lost her job over it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've been following this case for a minute. She and a bunch of other healthcare frontline workers have filed a class action lawsuit. And I wanted to bring her on because there is a huge update to this case. So, hi, Jen.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
I remember the last time I talked to you, I was like, well, you're gonna come back when when something breaks. And boy, has something broken. So tell everyone what's going on and what's happening with the case and all that good stuff.
Yes, well, girl, it's been a hell of a fight. We've been doing this now for over four years now. And basically, long story short, we had to, get a whole new law firm to cover our case after the first lawyer screwed up so bad. But we were just in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and we didn't realize how corrupt they actually are. Like, they totally dismissed our case. And basically,
Really?
in their 11-page verdict that they said, they basically said that your job is allowed to make you be a part of an experiment if they want to.
What?
They would not allow us to submit about 60 pages of evidence that we had. I mean, we can 100% prove that this is illegal, on a federal level.
Yeah.
But they're basically being those monkeys, their hands are over their eyes and ears, and they don't want us to talk, and they just want to shut us up. So they dismissed us. So we're filing an appeal to the Supreme Court. So basically, we've been working on a little funding. We've got a little Give, Send, Go going because we have additional lawyers that are helping us take this case, and they're so passionate about it that they're giving us a hell of a deal. I can't even, not even a fourth of what they should charge. I mean, they're totally cutting us a break to help us file this appeal. But of course, what sucks is the Supreme Court doesn't have to hear your case. So I don't want to say over the air, but behind the scenes, we're doing a few additional things to try to hopefully encourage the Supreme Court to take our case. So we're pushing it in all directions. So this way, hopefully they got the balls to do what's right.
So which appeals court denied the claim?
The Fifth Circuit.
Fifth Circuit.
Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in Louisiana. And I can't remember their names offhand, but if you look at the 11-page summary from them that I posted, it gives their names. But the three of them, oh my gosh, it's when you read what they wrote, it literally pisses you off because it's how can you stand behind the Constitution and say this was illegal when it wasn't?
Well, let me tell you something. The Supreme Court needs to hear this case, and they need to hear this case because we all lived through something horrible. And these people want to just, pretend it didn't happen and la, 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 and we're moving on now. It's no, we're not going to move on until there's some redress of what happened to you guys. And, it's not just healthcare workers that were forced to get a jab they didn't want to get. It was every single, industry, every single industry, people were losing their jobs left and right. And it reminds me of, I was going back and I wanted to get your take on this too. So here in Houston, there's a big story that blew up this week. There was a doctor. Her name is Christina Probst. She was formerly at Bluefish Pediatrics. Now, let me give y'all, and the reason I wanted to get Jennifer's take on this too is because, look, Jennifer was one of the first people to stand up and say, I'm not doing this. And then, of course, other people were like, well, I can be brave too. And then they joined in. Well, this lady, Christina Probst, who's a lunatic, she was a COVID psycho. She was a mask lady. She was a vax mandate lady. I found her first and only appearance at the HISD school board meeting. I didn't actually get to see her. It was before I had started to go yell at them. But this lady, she comes up in a mask. She's like, this is science. This is science. And y'all, okay. So this lady who tried to get people fired from their jobs for opposing vax mandates, for people, children as young as 4, for opposing vaccine mandates, for opposing all the things that we were standing up for. She ran roughshod. She was like a terrorist to people on our side. Okay. Bluefish Pediatrics did nothing to curb her, to stop this lady from being a psycho. So she thought she was going to be able to say what she wanted all the time. Well, this past weekend, after the horrific floods in Kerrville that claimed 100 lives, including, 27 little Christian girls at Camp Mystic, she came out. She's basically sorry, not sorry, because MAGA voted for this. the worst thing you could possibly say. Well, finally, Bluefish Pediatrics was like, okay, this is a bridge too far. We have to fire her. But it's like, why didn't you fire her for the other terrorist activity she was doing? Because she thought she could get away with it. Like, that's how much these people felt themselves for the last 4 years. They thought they could act with impunity. And for you now to be appealing to the Supreme Court, I'm telling you, if they do not hear this case, I have no words. If the Supreme Court does not take this case, that is pretty simple, meaning you should not be forced to inject something into your body that is against your deeply held religious beliefs, or you just don't want to do it. You just don't want to do it. And the thing I'm worried about is with the Roberts Court, which, basically put a rubber stamp on Obamacare. That's the one thing I'm worried about here, that they may not hear the case.
Well, and I wish I could tell you right now, but I can't because I don't want to give anybody the heads up to try to stop it. But we're doing a lot of big things behind the scenes that actually gives you a much better chance of them hearing your case. So we've got a lot of big help behind us trying to ensure that happens. And they have to hear our case because basically what the Fifth Circuit said on paper is literally going against the federal government. It's literally not even legal what they're saying, and we can prove that. So the Supreme Court is going to have to take this case to put some clarity on it and to answer these questions. And basically our team has uncovered and dug so deep these past years that what we're bringing to the table, like if you read our lawsuit, it's nothing anybody has touched on yet. Like a lot of lawyers didn't even know these things existed. So basically, we need to open this can of worms, and the Supreme Court has to rule on it, and it's going to set the precedent for this particular issue, so that way they can hopefully prevent this from ever happening again. And to touch on what you were talking about with that pediatrician, that woman is sick and twisted, and she should not be allowed to be a doctor.
No kidding.
Especially a pediatrician.
No kidding.
No, how dare you have the right to treat any of your patients, especially children, that way? And if that's how you're going to be, I hope nobody takes their children there. I hope she's out of business forever, cannot even, practice anywhere. And it's horrible that Bluefish waited so long to get rid of her. So it kind of lets you believe, maybe they were on her side and behind her until it just got so much backlash that they realized, oh, wait, this is going to actually affect our business and our money. Maybe we need to do something about it now, because that's all big businesses half the time care about.
Well, and here's the deal, too, with this lady. Like I said, she was full into the theater of the mask. She shows up at the school board meeting wearing her mask, and, she said the dumb words, I'm reclaiming my time. She's one of those. And she's also a lady that, a doctor, again, a pediatrician, who would post things about how children should be able to get abortions without telling their parents. She's a hardcore lunatic. She's a political activist posing as a doctor. She lost her job. But again, Bluefish Pediatrics, what took you so long? What took you so long? And I'm not someone, I just think it's ironic because I'm not for cancel culture. I'm really not. But when you put something out there that you think that you're so arrogant, that you think that because, you think that nothing happened to you before during all this when you were being a terrorist against, us freedom-loving people. She thought that nothing was going to happen to her. She thought she just put something up there and, no one would care. But it's you literally were calling for the sorry, MAGA voters. You get what you voted for. It's gross. And there are consequences to abhorrent things you say. Again, you could say whatever you want, but there are consequences. But she really was like, I'm going to get away with this because I have before. So, Jen, we don't have a lot of time with you today, I know. How can people reach you? How can people support what you're doing? Because the Supreme Court needs to hear this, and I pray that they do.
Oh, I pray that they do too, and I hope everybody out there, more than anything, definitely pray for the Supreme Court to hear our case, because this needs to be done, and it's been too long waiting on this to happen. But we kind of knew from the beginning, the big dogs needed to take this. We knew the lower level judges were not going to touch on this and actually rule, so this needs to happen. But besides everybody's prayers, we're almost at our funding goal to make this happen. And maybe you can share it for me, but there's a Give, Send, Go that we're using, and And one of my legal consultants made it so he puts a lot of the language in it to kind of let you know where we're at a legal aspect. But the gifts and go, all that money just goes to our Supreme Court appeal, which we're only asking for about $20,000. We have about $5,000 right now, and anyone who wants to follow me, I'm all over like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and that's where I post a lot of the updates and what's
So
going on.
what's the give, send, go?
Oh, the give, send, go. I don't remember exactly the wording of it, but if I sent it to you, so if you look it up, you'll have the exact wording on it.
If we look up like frontline workers or anything like that,
it's the way he worded it was like frontline workers. Gosh, I'm driving right now, so I can't pull it up. But I wish I knew it by heart.
well, I'll
can't
tell you
remember
what,
the exact
I'm gonna try and find it. Do me a favor, see if you can find it.
Okay, if you jump on your cell phone, I texted it to you like a couple days ago.
Okay. Yeah. Hang on. Well, I'll put it out. I'll put it out there. I will put it out there in the third segment.
Okay, no, I super appreciate that.
Of course.
Because every help, man, we just got to nail this and make sure that this
Every bit helps. Okay, it's called Houston Frontline Healthcare Workers. So look up that on Give, Send, Go. Whatever you can do would help. All right, Jen, keep us updated.
Oh, I absolutely will. And if y'all look it up, he put my picture as the cover, so you'll see me out there, so you'll know it's the right one.
Yeah, that's Jen. Houston Frontline Healthcare Workers. Give money to them. Y'all, karma's coming. Karma's coming. It's coming hard and fast. And the Supreme Court needs to hear this case. Okay, thanks, Jen. You're listening to Angela Bach Show. I'll be right back. Okay, I was chit-chatting with my producer, Steven, who cannot speak today. He has lost his voice. He's like, it's that cute little raspy little voice that I always love to have. Yeah, it's just, he can't speak. He told me that Dr. Probst was his children's pediatrician, and his wife chose her. Karma. Okay, so guess not on you. Not karma on you. I mean, but he did say, he goes, I'm concerned. He goes, I don't have any evidence of this, but I'm concerned that because when he told this lunatic, this terrorist, that, wanted to mask 4-year-olds and universally vax everybody and, has no problem with children having abortions and not telling their parents, like this garbage human. Anyway, he was like, hey, I don't want my kids to have the COVID vax. And he was like, I'm worried she might have done it behind my back. Although he did caveat it. And he was like, I have no evidence of this. And I'm like, I would not be surprised. Okay. These people are dark-sided. Okay. Period. Now, speaking of something dark-sided, y'all, the Elon Trump feud didn't split MAGA. In fact, we're all like mostly on the side of Trump and whatever Elon's doing with this political party. Everyone needs to remember either it's a psyop or Elon's autism is coming out, okay? Because he has Asperger's, and what do people who are autistic tend to do? They tend to, hyper focus on something and, stem out on it basically. He needs the sensory mittens or something. I don't know. Anyway, my point is that it's either a psyop or he's really like, I'm pissed for whatever reason. But that didn't split MAGA. But you know what could split MAGA? This Epstein stuff. Now, right now as I'm on X, cover up is trending. Pam Bondi is trending. Jeffrey Epstein is trending. Mossad is trending. So this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, it is really a head scratcher because Tuesday, when President Trump was asked, look, I don't, someone asked him, like, what's the deal? Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? That, there's nothing to see here. He doesn't have a client list. And the only things that was on his computer was just like, child sexual abuse material, which he was using on his own. And there's nobody implicated, nothing to see or move along. And Trump's like, why are we still talking about this? Like, what do you mean, why are we still talking about this? Like, what are you talking about, sir? Because at the very beginning, before you were elected, you said that the Epstein client list would release on day one. You said that we were going to find out who went to Epstein Island. You said all these things. Stop trying to gaslight us and make us think that we're the crazy ones here, okay? And either one or two things I think is happening. And I hope it's not the former. The former is, or the first thing that could be happening is Netanyahu came to visit the other day. And Netanyahu, real happy with Trump. He said, he should be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. And for what he's doing in the Middle East, he absolutely should. But, most of us think that Jeffrey Epstein is an intelligence asset of Mossad. Okay? Like most of us think that. He's probably an intelligent asset of the CIA too. All right? So did Netanyahu put a little pressure on Trump to, nothing to see her move alonging it? I don't know. It's either that or this is a setup, another psyop to make these people that are absolutely on this list, who absolutely have fetishes and were blackmailed and bribed by either our government, by another government, or both, make them feel comfortable. Make them feel like, we're done with this. Of course he killed himself. What are you, a crazy person? There was all those missing time, and then Biamani's like, there was no missing time. Everything's fine. What do you... and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who literally, until they got into the FBI, were like, oh, there's a cover-up. This thing stinks. Obviously, it stinks. And now all of a sudden, they're all like singing the same tune that nothing to see her move along. I'm not happy about this. And I dare say none of us are happy about this. And I dare say none of us actually believe this. So I don't know. Is there a bigger picture going on here? Or did they completely capitulate and cave? Now, the third option, which I don't think is likely, is that Trump's on the tapes. Okay? Y'all, he's not on the tapes. He's not. If he had been on the tapes, we would have known about that in 2016. We would have known about that when Jeffrey Epstein made his deal in Florida. I don't think he's on the tapes. I think he did work with the plaintiff's attorney, this Brad Edwards guy, who literally said that Trump was the only one who was even helpful. Like, he's the only one. Everyone else was like, shut their mouths and didn't speak to him. He said Trump is the only high-profile person that was any help at all to my clients. So I don't think it's that. I hope it's that he's just making these people comfortable. But I guess we'll find out. But again, Trump needs to understand that although we support him and although we support the agenda of MAGA, we don't support more of the same. We don't support kicking the can and pretending that things aren't happening or things didn't happen. We don't support lying about Jeffrey Epstein. We want it warts and all, man. We want to know what these people were up to. If they were an asset of our government or of Mossad or whomever, we want to know the truth. All right. The truth is the truth. And the sunlight is the best disinfectant. And up until Kash and Dan and Pam Bondi got into their current positions, they were saying the same things we were. So was Trump. So we can support the policies of MAGA, but I don't support this. And I dare say MAGA does not support this. And only the true, diehard people that, if Trump, as Trump famously once said, so I could go out and murder a kitten and they would still support me. No, I don't support this. I don't support this at all. And so people wanting to pretend that there's nothing to see here move along, I think are doing a true disservice. And if it turns out that it's because Netanyahu is like, look, you can't, you just can't. There's too much dirt on too many people. We can't release this. Like, I'm sorry, release it. Okay. We need to know about the pedophile rings. We need to know about people who are trafficking children. I mean, if you saw the movie Sound of Freedom, which Fred and I did, you know what these people are up to all over the world. And it is sick and it is worldwide. Okay. So we need to know who these pedophiles are. And we need to know that if these people are being blackmailed, what are they being blackmailed with? And I dare say it's probably child sex trafficking stuff. Okay. So anyway, enough of that. I mean, we could talk about this all show, but I mean, there's only so much I know. There's so much so much I know. And basically, that's it. So hopefully it is just the beginning of a big old sting, but I'm concerned. Okay. Now, there was a story a couple days ago about how the left is now taking their temper tantrum and taking it into the next level, which is a color revolution. Okay. Color revolutions have happened all over the communist world. Okay. It happened in Cuba. It happened in China. It happened in Venezuela. And so basically it's this insurgency of lunatics, and, you know, they're here and queer and get used to it. Well, our insurgency seems to be coming from the fired USAID workers and the fired NGO people, or the NGOs that aren't getting any money anymore because they have no skill sets other than being a leftist that likes to stir things up. And they're not happy that they lost their jobs. They're not happy the money's cut. So evidently, they are now going to be doubling down, and they're saying, we can't just demonstrate anymore. This has to get violent. This has to not only take it to the streets, but sometimes violence is going to be necessary. Here's one of the quotes. Quote, "You just released a bunch of well-trained individuals into your population. If you kept our offices going and had us play solitaire, it might have been safer for your regime." Okay. That is not subtle. That is an actual threat. So evidently these fired workers are all on Signal, and they're all chit-chatting with each other on what they're going to do. And I mean, I'm not scared of these people because they're ineffectual, you know, blue-haired fat lesbians that think Lena Dunham is amazing. But like at the same time, one or two crazy people could cause a whole lot of problems. I don't think that in this environment that anyone is going to put up with this crap. Okay. I just absolutely don't. Although I will say this, last week, and this comes on the heels of these people saying we have to start getting violent. There was a Texas Border Patrol officer killed in Texas. These lunatics are, you know, protesting against rounding up criminals and all the things. The ride and died for the illegals. And there was a police officer that was shot. So obviously they would have killed him if they could, like obviously, but they didn't. But this is kind of the what they're going to be doing. We talked a lot about this Christina Probst lady. It wasn't just her celebrating the deaths of people in Kirk County. It's so, I don't even want to talk about this, but we have to, because these people live among us. Okay. These people live among us. A bunch of leftists took to social media. So this is why Christina Probst thinks she was going to get away with this, because she thinks that in her little bubble, everyone thinks these things. Like, of course we're happy that, you know, a bunch of MAGAs got killed. Like, aren't you? What's wrong with you if you don't think that this is Gaia's retribution because we deny climate change? Listen, I don't deny climate change. I just don't think man's cars are causing it, okay? And on a side note, before I tell you what the left is saying, when it comes to climate change, it's so funny to me. Fred and I watch a lot of, you know, history stuff and science stuff and things like that. And, you know, or archaeological things. And it's so funny to listen to these archaeologists who, out of one side of their mouths, like, well, when there was climate change when the dinosaurs died, or there was climate change when, you know, the reason it's called Greenland is because it used to be green and hot. And no, they found, you know, palm tree fossils in Antarctica. And like, okay, yeah, there's climate change. Duh, obviously. But out of the other side of their mouth, it's like, well, this time though, we're all going to die because of, you know, you're driving your Range Rover. Anyway, the left here's my point about this. The left, because they have truly become so radicalized, they don't have a problem with wishing death upon their political opponents. They have no problem at all. And the left was really, really unhinged when it came to these floods. I mean, just the grossest things you can possibly imagine. Here's a few examples. Cry harder, Texas deserves it. The people in Texas voted for government services controlled by Donald Trump and Greg Abbott. That is exactly what they are getting. I'm kind of happy that the National Weather Service have ignored predictions when it came to how much rain would fall, especially since the best and brightest from that org were let go due to DOGE, Elon, and Trump. Texas deserves the flooding. Like, again, and they weren't, but okay. Gross. This is why people like Christina Probst thought she could act with impunity and nothing would ever happen to her. But F around and find out. All right, we got one more segment. It was the Angela Box Show. All right, last week we touched briefly on this report out from John Radcliffe, CIA director, that said that basically Brennan and Comey and Clapper, their fingerprints are all over the Trump-Russia collusion hoax, and it was all set up, and we all know this. Well, this week, ladies and gentlemen, John Radcliffe, he let everyone know yesterday or Tuesday. I wish working on a daily show again, guys. We are putting it out into the universe, okay? But because I've had people go, man, I wish that we could hear you more, and this wasn't old by the time we heard it. So I'm sorry if you're listening on Saturday. You're like, yeah, I already know this. Anyway, John Radcliffe put out yesterday that Pam Bondi at the DOJ, which again, good Pam Bondi, bad Pam Bondi. Like we talk about good Greg Abbott, bad Greg Abbott. So good Pam Bondi and the DOJ is like, yeah, guess what? The FBI has opened up a criminal investigation into John Brennan and James Comey. And that's just the first, okay, guys? Because obviously these two didn't just come up with this plan on their own. And it's all about the Russia collusion hoax and everything they did in order to get Trump. And remember all the people that were in those meetings. It was Barack Obama, the first black president. It was Joe Biden before he lost his, marbles. It was Lisa Monaco. It was Susan Rice. It was James Comey. It was John Brennan. It was James Clapper. It's all of them. Yeah, all of them. It's going to be really funny to watch these people try to spin this. And my question is Bondi going after Brennan and Clapper? Excuse me, Comey and Brennan initially because they're like, oh, these people are going to flip. Listen, I don't think they're going to flip. I think they'll end up dead. Like, they'll end up dead. I don't think there's any universe that exists that these two are going to go down for what Obama did. I just don't. Or what Hillary Clinton did. Because Hillary Clinton's up to her sizable cankles and then some to it also, obviously. So I guess we'll just see what happens. I mean, but with this DOJ, I don't know, man. With the people who said that Epstein, he totally killed himself, and he just had a bunch of kiddie porn on his computers, and there wasn't anything else. I mean, I know that we had housekeepers testify that he had literally cameras in every single square inch of that house, and there was, control rooms that was recording every single thing that went on. But never mind. We'll see what happens. I mean, y'all, either. We have to be honest when our side and when our people are not doing what they should be doing. And either it is so bad what is in those files that it would upend the world, like the stability of the world, or they're setting them up. I don't know. But I do have hope that the fact that they're now looking at Comey and Brennan, that's good. So it will be very interesting to see. I mean, the media's not going to cover it, whatever. But when they get indicted, they will. And when they get indicted for, treason and for trying to overthrow the United States government, I think the media might get a little interested in that. But again, these two are relatively low-level people, okay? Obviously, they hated Trump. Obviously, they did everything to get him, and that's what COVID was for, and we all know that. But these are, low-level people. I mean, these are foot soldiers. The real masterminds are the Obamas, the Clintons, and whoever runs Obama and Clinton. So that's what we need to find out. That's the door that needs to be busted open. But the reason this is important is because they're not kicking the can on this one. And so, again, I have hope. I have hope that maybe with all the outcry and all the, what the hell is going on here, that maybe they'll be like, okay, we're going to look back into it. I don't know. We'll see. Let's talk about some of the stuff. Now, here's something funny. There's a couple of things that I'm looking at right now. So there is a talk show or a left-wing podcast. His name is Kareem Rama, and he hosts the series Subway Takes, which never heard of, whatever. I mean, there's, everyone's got a show, me included. So he was asked by someone, he was like, were you going to have Kamala Harris and Tim Walz on? Because the whole thing was, when you look at the election breakdown and when you look at what influenced the election or what didn't. People, especially Gen Z, the under 30 crowd, who are becoming so based, whether they're closet based. Fred came up with that term. Closet based, like quiet about it, like Shaq, who was in Houston last weekend. Side note, he was in Houston. He was at the Ninfas right down the street from me, and we were not there. And my friend saw him at the Post Oak Hotel, and she said he was great. He's a cool guy. He's super cool. I love him. But he's totally closet based, okay? Like, he's 100% a conservative. I would stake my life on it. Anyway, here's the point. They're closet based, and they were really influenced by Joe Rogan, by Theo Vaughn, and by all these podcasts. And so whoever was on Trump's team that was like, you need to be doing these podcasts, that's how to reach these people, was genius. And so, of course, when Kamala Harris decided, I don't need to go on that. We have people door knocking every day. We have the most significant get out the vote ever. And obviously she couldn't go on Joe Rogan because she would have cackled her way and everyone would be like, oh my God, this woman is like, she's retarded. Well, this Kareem Rama guy was like, yeah, we were in talks with Kamala and Tim Waltz to come on my show, and we taped it, and it was so bad I couldn't air it. Like, it was so bad, and it made her look so bad because she's a moron, and Tim Waltz is, talk about closeted, okay? Jazz hands! Like, it was so bad that he had to scrap the entire episode. He's like, can't run it. I don't want to be blamed for why Senator Knee Pads loses in a flame out. So, once again, more media manipulation, whether it's 60 Minutes, cobbling together an answer to make her sound cogent, whether it's podcasters refusing to air episodes, whether it's her refusing to go on Joe Rogan. I mean, it was so manipulated, you guys. And we dodged all the bullets, man. We dodged all the bullets. But I keep talking about how the good news is that the Democrats don't seem to have learned any lessons whatsoever. Like, they're doubling and tripling down. They're riding and dying for illegals. They've got judges that continue, even after the Supreme Court decision, they are continuing to try and put injunctions on President Trump and the Trump administration. They don't care. They're in fact, this one, Biden judge, what's her name? Not Nirotandi. That's not her. I can see her face. She's double bagger adjacent. But she was like, oh, I know that the Republicans wanted to defend Planned Parenthood and the one big beautiful bill, but no, I'm not going to do it. It's like, did you not? They don't even care. They don't even care. And John Roberts is so feckless because he's compromised. I'm convinced of it, that he's not going to he's not going to rein these people in. They're like, oh, we know we just said that you can't do that, but they continue to do it. They're out of control. Anyway, here's my point. Here was what Kamala Harris's take. So I guess the Subway take, if you're a guest, you come up with a funny hot take about something. I don't know. Never seen the show. But it was spiked after she unleashed a really, really bad hot take. And here was her hot take. And this is like Hillary Clinton pulling out the hot sauce out of her purse adjacent. Okay? Because she's a woman of the people. Bacon is a spice. That was her hot take. And so evidently she was going to get up there and defend this hot take. I'm like, that is a dumb hot take. Okay. Bacon is delicious and amazing, but it's also not a spice. But I I'm going to be honest. I sort of understand what she was going for, but my guess is that it was so bad that he was like, I can't run this thing. It's so bad. Speaking of some cultural stuff, this is from my friend Tim, who we share shows that we watch. I think I told y'all we finished Get Shorty. And Get Shorty was good. It was good. But I'm going to warn you, when you watch it, it's only 3 seasons and it needed a 4th season and they canceled it, which is unfortunate, but it was good. What else are we watching this week? Oh, I finally started White Lotus, season 4 or season 3 of White Lotus. I'm not forcing Fred to watch this because I heard that there was some incest stuff in there, like gay incest. And I'm like, oh, he's going to be, oh, hell no. And so I got to it, and it's super creepy and gross, but it's not like let's put it this way. It's not as homoerotic as the Menendez brothers thing that Ryan Murphy did, which was good. but it's not as bad as that. But Arnold Schwarzenegger's son is in this. Patrick Schwarzenegger. He's actually a good actor. I like him. I'm not mad at him. He's a better actor than Arnold, but okay. Okay, one final thing in the culture. Lena Dunham is back, you guys. The dump truck known as Lena Dunham. You thought you would escape the dump truck known as Lena Dunham. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, she is back. She has a new show on Netflix. It's not starring her, but it's starring another, obese girl named, Megan Stoutler. She was in Hacks. And it's called Too Much. And y'all, Lena Dunham is too much. She is a hot ass mess. The dump truck that she is with her long stringy black hair, and she's like gained 100 pounds, and she's like, aren't I still hot? It's like, you were never hot, and ew. And people are still kissing this lady's butt. Like, I don't get it. But, flame on, Lena. Flame on. All right, that's my time. You've been listening to The Angela Box Show. I'll see you next week, and until next time, everybody, keep kicking ass and taking names. Peace.